Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our I've Decided podcast. I'm Kim Martin, founder of I've Decided, and I'm so excited that you're here tuning in, joining us this week. Well, this week is the 30th week of 2023. Did you know that, Noelle?
Gosh, no. Where is it? I felt like it was coming to an end.
I know.
I think I said September the other day.
We've passed the halfway mark, and now we're in the 30th week. So this is the 30th edition at I've Decided, and we are talking about the word replenish. And replenish is all about recharging, filling up. In fact, the definition is to make full or complete again. And so that's our topic this week. And we've just been talking to our members that I've Decided, our community, about what is it that fills you up? Because no one can pour from an empty cup, right?
So true.
If we are going to serve well, if we are going to make an impact, we have to keep our little pot of oil filled up. I use the car analogy, right?
Oh,
when your tank is full, you're excited. It's like you got a full tank. You're like, I can go for days. As it starts to get to a half a tank, you're like, okay, I'm good. It gets under the half. You go, oh, and then a quarter of a tank, right? You start to worry, and then it's empty. You're like, get me to a store. Well, humans are the same. That's how we work. So it's very important that we keep that cup full. And that's what the topic is this week. As you know, Noelle, because you are a member of I've Decided and you saw the weekly winning resource and the content, our article this week was all about how you can replenish, what things that you can do to recharge. And that was the article that we shared with our members. And so today we want to talk about one of those ways. And we used replenish as an acrostic. So we did the R-E, right? We spelled it out. And so the L in replenish was to learn. And so when we learn new things, when we, bring awareness to ourselves, it causes us to get recharged. We kind of get fired up. We get excited. And so Noele Tatlock, everybody, this is Noele Tatlock. And she is the personal lines division manager out at Unland Insurance, who has been a long time business resource for I've Decided. And we're so grateful and thankful for that partnership. And but I've gotten to know you over the years, and just an awesome lady. And super smart.
Thank you.
Super smart. And especially when it comes to insurance, she knows all about insurance. And so there's some things we need to learn about insurance. And we were having a conversation a week or two ago, and you said, Kim, I really would love to share on your podcast about some things coming down the pipeline that people need to know.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is going to fill our cup or not.
We'll certainly learn.
But we will learn. And I can tell you this much. It's always better to be in the know. If something catches you off guard, there's nothing that can zap your energy worse than something that catches you off guard that you weren't aware of, especially if it's going to cost a little more money, right? So being in the know, being aware can save us from getting zapped down the road. That we're going to roll with that. That's what we're going to say.
Okay, we're going to go with that.
All right. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Noelle, because I want you to just share a little bit about you, what you do out at Unland Insurance. And then let's just have this great conversation around, personal line insurance and what we need to know.
Sure. So as you said, I'm at Unland Insurance, and help everybody in the personal lines department, at least to try to. And so what's really going on, and I guess I should back up. So I've been in Unland since October of 2019. Prior to that, I had a farmer's insurance agency. And so actually June, I think it's the 23rd, I have to look at my license, but I believe it's the 23rd of June was my 10 years of being an agent. So that went by really quick.
Really
Speaking
quick.
About time flying by, right? So that's not a long time in the insurance industry, but certainly a long time, enough time, I guess I should say, to have, had some experience along the way with things. And so probably the most recent, and so not necessarily maybe what's coming for some of us, for example, myself. And what I mean by that is at my renewal. So when I get my insurance actually renews in October of this year. So when I get it, I know that even from a personal standpoint on my homeowner's insurance and my auto insurance, it's going up.
Mm-hmm. I just got my renewal from my auto insurance and it went up. I was going to call them. Like, we didn't have any
I have always had just an extra spark in my heart for helping people understand their insurance. And so I just think that it's not something that we get a lot of. And so understanding what's going on in the market right now, I thought it was a great idea to get together and potentially have an opportunity to help people maybe understand what's going on. So I would say the first thing is it's coming. When you get it, do not be surprised. This is not something just at one company.
Price increases.
Yes, this is a premium increase across the board, among other things. So even you'll notice if you have a homeowner's policy, even the coverage, the actual coverage on your home. So you'll receive your policy in the mail with what they call as a declarations pages. And you can go through there and kind of look at your coverage, that kind of thing. And so it'll have the premium on there and all the coverages that you have with it. And so you'll notice pretty much everything is increasing. So specifically across the board, what's happening, we have record high claims situations right now that are happening, which is driving, of course, some of the premium. Losses are at an all-time high.
Okay.
Meaning when you look at insurance across the board, you have, when you take into consideration what insurance is. And so basically what we do is the idea behind it is we all kind of pool our money together and put it in one pot, so to say. And so when more is coming out and being paid out than what's coming in, there's a shortage.
Sure.
And insurance is a for-profit business. So
as we know,
that's right. Unfortunately, however you want to look at it or what your viewpoint is, that's how insurance works. And so when there's a kind of in the negative type thing, then they have to make that up. And so it comes through the form of premium increases. There's also other things that are happening, things like inflation, of course. There's a lack of labor that's happening there. As we all know, we have materials problem going on right now. At any one time, it could be parts for your car, windows if you needed to have new windows put in your home. So when you think about it on a mass scale, if we were to have a catastrophic loss across the board, and there would be a run on drywall or any kind of anything that you would think to have to build a home, and then multiply that by however many times the people that would need that could be a problem. So that's, of course, another conversation as well. But on a higher, I guess, topic and viewpoint, and is just knowing that it is coming, and that if you haven't already gotten it, that's what we're seeing. So what can you do about it? So the first thing is just know that it is coming. A lot of people, I would say, when you get your increase, I'll just say that, when you get your renewal in the mail, take a look at it. The sooner you get it, the better, because the other, I guess, I don't even know if I want to call it a crisis, but the other situation that's happening right now is that it's created a service nightmare. I'm going to say it's a service nightmare for insurance companies, because not only do we have our current clients that are calling saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? We now have an influx of people saying, hey, I want to shop my insurance. And what can I do? So not only are we trying to help our current clients, but also help new business coming in the door too. So that has created a service problem.
I can see that, because I have it sitting on my desk at home. I'm like, I got to call these people and find out why.
Sure.
My policy increased. Like, we didn't have any tickets. We didn't have any accidents. We didn't have any claims.
Yes.
Usually
there's a driving force for that. Sure.
Right. If you get an increase, you're kind of expecting it, because, I got a ticket. I rear-ended somebody. Now it's on my record. They checked me.
Sure.
My credit score went down. Something is, you kind of are aware. But this time I was like expecting, a little savings or something.
You were hoping. At least that's what I do. I hope every time I'm like, oh, please.
I've been a good girl.
And here's the reality, I think, of the world we live in as well. I mean, go to the grocery store.
Oh my gosh.
Things are just at an all-time high. And so I think what happens is that it puts such a burden on everybody, not only when you have, and depending on your situation, if you're already, on a fixed income, and you have to pay more at the grocery store, and now you have your insurance that you have to have, and now that's going to go up. That makes such a, an impact on people's lives.
An impact everywhere when you think about it, because even if you go out and buy a car, You know, if I'm going to go buy a car and insurance is at an all-time high, let's just say,
Sure.
I'm going to go, okay, what car has the best insurance?
Sure.
I'm not going to go, what's my favorite car?
Sure.
I want to go get whatever I want. I'm going to say, how much is the insurance going to be on that car? That's going to be a real deciding factor. Do you think people really even, when they're buying their home or they're buying a boat or they're buying their car, do we really think insurance before making a decision? You probably do because you're an insurance agent.
It's what I do. So,
but the general population?
I would say in not the market we're in now, but I would say just across the board, occasionally I would get somebody that would call and say, hey, can you run this VIN for me on the vehicle to let me know kind of where it's coming in at? And so, and there's so many factors that make up a premium. I mean, and I've heard people say there's thousands of, just different factors that go into making a premium. So the safety rating on a car, you mentioned earlier, your credit. Yes, that's a factor. The zip code that we live in is a factor. So although we live close together, your zip code might be affected differently than my zip code.
Right.
So if we're in different zip codes, even that makes a difference. So there are many, many, many factors that are taken into consideration when coming up with a premium. And so then my advice is when you get this, as soon as you can, if you feel that you want to have your insurance shopped, I would start with your own insurance agent and go back to them. So, and there are times that it doesn't make sense. I know it's upsetting to get that, but if you've recently switched, it may not be a good time to do that. Although you get an increase, right? It's not necessarily always a good idea to go from one insurance company, to like shop year to year.
Right.
Although it's painful, I know you want to do that and it's so tempting to want to do that. But I would say if it's been, within the last, especially 3 years, I would probably attempt to stay where you're at.
Right.
So my advice is to do things, look for discounts. Has your situation changed? Have you done any upgrades on your home? Do you have a new roof? Have you installed maybe a permanent generator in your home? Is your child now on the dean's list? And so now you can get a good student discount. So, and every carrier, so from carrier to carrier, they're going to have pretty much their discounts the same, but there's going to be some that are different as well. Having online policies, paperless policies, all of those types of things make a difference and can, of course, make a difference on your premium. So,
but we've had this conversation before too. And what you've got to be careful of, here's what I could see happening, and tell me if I'm wrong. I get my bill, it's increased, or my whatever you want to call it, my renewal. I get my renewal.
Yes.
I call it a bill, but we can call it whatever.
Yeah.
Renewal bill. I get my insurance renewal and it's way more expensive. And I call my insurance agent, and because they're getting all these phone calls and they're trying to keep your price down to keep you happy, they could give you discounted rates, but reduce the amount of insurance that you have.
Correct.
Now, I have good relationships. You hope that wouldn't happen, but it is something that I just want to bring up because you taught me this.
Yes.
And you have to be very careful. You want to make sure you have the insurance that you want in the event that you need it.
Correct.
And number one being with your homeowner's insurance, that you have enough to cover what it's going to cost you to rebuild your home in the event that you get something completely destroys your home.
Yes.
Right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So this
price isn't always everything.
Oh my goodness. What is the old saying? You get what you pay for.
Yes.
And most of the time that's true. So yes, you want to make sure. So if you compare it to premiums and the cost of things to build, so versus pre-COVID, we can even take it back that far. But just to think about how much it would cost to rebuild your home at today's labor with today's materials, right? And from the ground up, basically, like think of it, you have a complete loss from the ground up. How much would that really cost? And so I think that people sometimes, when you look at numbers and, you can look at, the amount of coverage for your home, and you think, wow, say $500,000, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Kim, it is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I'd like to have $500,000.
There's a lot of money.
I could do a lot with $500,000.
There's a lot of money. But if you think about what it would cost to rebuild say a 2,500 square foot home,
right?
At today's labor with today. So it's, again, going back through all of that, just maybe stop and go, okay, how much would it really cost? How much is drywall for that much square footage? How many bathrooms do I have? Because that's how many, vanities that need to be replaced. And then what are the types of materials that I want to replace with? And do I have ceramic tile in my house? Do I have, hardwood floors in my home? What do I have? And then the finishes of the home make a difference. The other part of that comes with it is your personal property. So typically on a homeowner's policy, you'll have a what we call it, your dwelling coverage, and then your personal property is typically a percentage based off of that number. So you can, if it's a $500,000 and you have 75% of $500,000, you think, wow, that's a lot of money, right, for personal property. So personal property is the portion, and I've heard people explain it. If you take your home and you could flip it upside down and kind of shake it, and all the stuff that falls out of it after that, that's your personal property. And so people will look at that and think, wow, that's a lot of money. I'm paying a lot of money, for that coverage. But again, if you had to go and replace
everything,
all of your bedding, all of your furniture, all of your stuff, I mean, my kitchen stuff alone, all my kitchen cabinet, all the little gadgets I have in my kitchen, those types of things just add up. And so those are the types of things that you want to take into consideration. So yes, you want to be very careful on the types of coverages. And it's okay to question those types of things, of course.
Make sure, is there a limit? Like, could I be like, okay, I want $1 million policy on my house. Like, I want to make sure I got it all covered. If I lose my house, I want to build bigger and better. I mean, like, is that possible? Or does the insurance company go, whoa, Nellie?
Yes.
You cannot just pay for $1 million policy. I'm just curious. I wonder.
Yeah. So you can, so yes and no, meaning this. So think of insurance policies. So you talked about the car analogy earlier. I'll use the same one, but in a different way.
Okay.
So think of when you purchase a car, how they have like a base model, and then you can purchase like different packages, right? So you can, insurance is the exact same way. So you have a base package, and then you can
the bare minimum.
Yes, just the bare minimum type package. And then they have package trims. And so you can add different coverage, and then that increases certain coverages. It also will not allow you to you can and can't do certain things. So there's some rules to it, not rules necessarily, but there's just certain things that you can and cannot remove from those policies. It's kind of baked into the premium, if you will.
Okay.
However, you can add things. So when you said, I want to have the best, so you could do maybe a package trim, the best package trim. And what that would do is maybe give you something called a guaranteed home replacement on your home. So for example, let's just use the $500,000. Okay. So $500,000 to replace your home. But then in reality, when they start, they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? It's going to cost so much more because now supply and demand, maybe for some reason. And now there's a shortage on, I don't know, pick something, drywall. And so, okay, well,
doors, windows. I mean, there's been a shortage on
everything. Yeah. So
I got my windows replaced. It took 6 months to get a window. So.
It's true. Yeah. So when you start to put all of those things together, now it's going to be maybe, I don't know, $550,000. So now you're $50,000 over, right?
Right.
So there are different package trims that you can purchase. If you wanted to do the best package trim, you have something called the guaranteed replacement cost. And basically that just says that, yes, there is a listed number there, but when it got down to it, if it was $550,000, you were guaranteed to get your home replaced. So
you can at least
do that as far as, hey, I do want that. Now, the other thing is the characteristics of your home. So as you go through your policy, something we take a lot of time up front with our clients. It's a minimum of a 15-minute conversation, probably just gathering information. And so I tell people it's very much an informational gathering process that we walk through and gather specific information about the home so we can put in the correct information in order to get out, especially now with everything being as sensitive. We want to make sure that those are correct. And we want to kind of get in there and get as accurate as possible. So we'll ask questions like, tell me the flooring that you have in your home, and you have maybe 60% carpet and 40% hardwood. Okay, there's 100, that adds up to 100%. So Do you have a swimming pool? If you do, okay, is it fenced? And that's more of a liability question. But, what do you have do you have a fireplace?
Right.
If you do, how many of them do you have? How many bathrooms do you have? How many bedrooms do you have? What's the square footage? Do you have a basement? Is there a crawl space? So all of those things, what's the shingle that you have on your roof? Some people have, the typical is an asphalt shingle, but some people have a metal roof. And then that's completely different too. And so, meaning the material.
Or cedar planks. Some people have cedar planks.
There are such thing as even around here. Yeah, in certain parts of the country, there are different things.
Yeah.
So like I always think about like places around Arizona, like clay tile would be
right.
more prominent there. But so all of those different types of characteristics help build that reconstruction cost to the home. And then every company is going to be a little bit different. So every company is, they're going to take a look at those things. Again, they're going to take zip code into consideration when it comes to those types of products. So I would say be very aware of what you're getting. Ask questions, make sure that those types of things are accurate. If
you're going to get a discount, you call your agent and they're like, oh, I can help you get the price down. If they're getting the price down, what are they taking out of your policy that could be important to you?
How is that coming down?
Now, some people have a different point of view with insurance. We all have a different point of view, right?
Yes.
Some people believe, you know what, I'll put my money in a savings account and then I'll have the minimal insurance. If I have a catastrophe, I've saved my own money. I'll use the insurance and combine the two. If you're that disciplined, that is awesome.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
That is amazing. Yes. And some people are. And that's a great way to do it because now it's really your money. And if you if you get to a point where you need less claim, you still have your money. So if you're that disciplined and you can do that and you have the resources to do that, because I think you kind of have to be wealthy already to be able to do something like that. It's kind of almost like self-insurance, right? It's almost like a self-insured thing.
It's a question. So, and that's something. So it's reminding me of deductibles. So when you sit down and you go through your policy, I'll ask a client, I'll say, hey, one way we can save on premium is to maybe take if you have $1,000 deductible now, let's take it to $2,500 and let's see what that does. Because maybe in a situation with today's cost, I mean, how much is $2,500? It's not much anyway. You can get to $2,500 real quick. However, I don't know your personal financial situation.
Right.
I don't know that. And so I'll ask a client, I'll say, how comfortable do you feel if you had a loss and you're going to turn in a claim and you had to come up with $2,500 or not, there's to come up with $2,500, but you're responsible.
It comes off the top. Whatever
that first
they're going to not make you pay $2,500 up front, but whatever you get, it's going to be minus the $2,500.
Correct. Exactly. And so I have some clients that are completely fine with that. I have some clients that have thousands of dollars deductibles and they're fine with that. I have some clients that say, absolutely not. Do not take me at $1,000 deductible. And all of that is fine. There's no right or wrong answer. It's really based on everybody's personal financial situation.
With and what what's going to happen in this middle of a catastrophe. How are you going to handle this and what are you going to need?
Yes.
You're going to need to be able to probably pay for a hotel for a while. And of course, your insurance should help cover some of that if you've got the right policy. But right up front, you're waiting on all this. You're going to need to plop out a credit card or plop out something until somebody starts turning over some money. So you might have some money in savings, but you might have to use you just have to really look at it. But, there are, for me, I hate to use the term insurance poor, but you've heard people say that. I want everything insured. I want to be, okay. I don't really want to be insurance poor.
And you should not be. Yes, no, absolutely.
But I definitely don't want to have to worry. Like, I don't want to know that, okay, if my basement floods, do I have to worry that the policy is going to be like, oh, that's an act of God. Sorry. We don't cover flooding. I want to know, if anything happens to my home, I'm going to be, I'm going to kill somebody. Not really, but you're going to feel that way.
Sure.
If your insurance company goes, oh, sorry, that's not covered.
Right.
Talk about a heart attack, right? No, you want to have that sense of belief that if something happens, it's okay.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be okay. Sure, it's going to be awful. To go through a tragedy like that of the loss of a home, it It would be terrible. Nobody wants to do that.
It is.
But it happens to people.
It happens.
We have a lady in our women in leadership group. This just happened. She's going through all of this, and just watching and hearing her, and it's heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching. And then to think that you've got to deal with maybe insurance that you didn't have the right coverage.
And to know. And
we used to call you the coverage coach.
Oh my gosh, that has been a while ago. Yes.
We're like, Noelle, the coverage coach.
That's my nickname.
Yeah, that's kind of what you are, right? The coverage coach. Help us understand what our coverages are. I just come to me. I was trying to think. I'm like, what did we call her?
How long? It's been a while.
That was what I call BC, before COVID.
Good one.
So yeah. Well, okay. So the idea of this, you guys, is not to freak you out. It's not to put you in an uproar.
No.
It's to for you to learn so that you can refuel, replenish, and it's not the best news to hear, oh yeah, your premiums are going to increase. But by knowing when you open up the envelope, you're like, okay, yep, there it is. And then you can do some homework and just be aware. And that's going to keep you from it going, I could open up my statement and go, oh, and then I'm zapped. My energy just went from here to here.
And that's it. So
my tank went from full to empty like that.
Quickly. Yes. And so the other thing is, can I guarantee that's going to happen? No, I don't know your situation. Maybe and somebody out here that's listening, maybe you had a situation where you had 5 cars on your policy, and you know what? You dropped 3 of them because maybe 3 of your children each took a car and they are off the policy, and now all 3 of those cars are off the policy.
So your policy would be less.
So again, I'm not saying that this is every situation. I'm saying that it's pretty likely that that's
if nothing
probably
has
gonna
changed,
happen.
I can attest to it. It's funny you bring this up. I literally just got my automobile policy, and it's funny you just brought all this up, because I swear it's sitting on my desk before we had this conversation, and I was going to call them and say, wait, did you apply all of my daughter's on the dean's list? Did you put that there? Did you apply all of this stuff? And it even said we're like a prime customer because we've been with them for, whatever.
Sure. And that's something else.
And it didn't increase, like, it just was enough for me to go, I noticed it.
Yes.
And I realized, I think it was like $50 or $75, somewhere in that range, but that's per month.
Right.
That's the monthly payment. It went up. That's a lot of money
per month when you think about what
you're on a budget. I'm on a budget. I don't have unlimited resources.
Yes.
I have to stay within my little budget.
Yes.
And my food bills budgets already went up.
Yes. And so now your alcohol budget's going up because you have to.
I'm working on my alcohol budget going down. I really am.
But and so you brought up a couple good points too to talk about, Kim, is that so when you're looking at and this is not live because I totally lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay.
I have to go back. Joe, I am so sorry. You're gonna have to
No, we're good. Just keep on flowing.
I'm trying to think. You said something earlier about and I now as soon as it came to me, it flew.
Well, that's okay. It'll come back. We were just talking about the prices and the sticker shock and going up monthly rates and things like that. So again, just be aware. If you're aware, it won't zap you so quickly. And that's really what the topic is this week. All about replenish, right? All about keeping your little pot of oil, keeping your gas tank full so that you can pour out, so that you can be a good steward. And when your gas tank's full, you can handle things like this. That's another good point I'd love to make. When we are walking around zapped, when we feel overwhelmed, and I kind of read this to you guys. I don't know if, I do have it. Because I think this is so important. I found this definition of being overwhelmed, and I shared it with our members in the weekly winning resource, but I think it's worthy of sharing with the listeners. Being overwhelmed is the result of constant stress and pressure without making the time to replenish your mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's because you're running on empty and you haven't taken the time to replenish yourself. And when things like this happen, when things like you open up your
the unexpected,
when you get your insurance renewal in the mail and you open it up and it's an increase, things like that will put you over the edge. And because you're empty. So if you stay fueled, keep your tank full, when things like this happen, you're not going to go off the deep end. Sure, it might zap you a little bit or empty you out. You might go from full to half tank real quickly.
Sure.
But you're not going to go from half tank to completely empty. Sure. You make sense? Yeah. And so, yeah. So, real quick before we wrap this up, how do you refill your cup, Noelle? Like, what do you do to refuel your, from a personal, we're off the topic of insurance.
No, it's so boring.
Yeah, I know, insurance. There you have it. Pay attention. And by the way, Noelle, Unland Insurance, if you'd like to shop around, if you'd like to get some quotes, if you want to, if you're already a customer of Unland Insurance, they are here for you. I just want to make sure to say that too. So Noelle is awesome.
Yes, thank you.
And okay.
And be nice when you call to anybody, because everybody is overwhelmed right now. Everybody. And I mean, this is not just, it is literally everywhere. So again, the service is just overwhelmed, and it's probably at most places maybe taking a little bit longer to get back to people and do that kind of thing. So it is,
be nice and be patient.
Yes, absolutely. But
it's a weird world we live in this day and age, isn't it? It really
just
things have just changed. But you know what? We're humans. We figure it out. We keep moving. Yeah. All right. So
okay. So what do I do?
What are some things that you do?
Okay. So I'm pretty, I don't know. I'm pretty routine type person. So I'm up every morning fairly early, and at the gym. I'm a 5 a.m.er, a 4:30 up, 5 a.m.er at the gym.
We're the same.
Yes. And so do that. And then I come home, and actually on my way home, I have an app on my phone, and it's a I'll call it a spiritual app that there's some reflection, and I listen to that. So I allow myself some music in the morning driving to the gym, because at 4:30 I'm not even quite sure of my name. It's so early in the morning.
Not even sure I'm in the land of the living.
I'm not sure where. But then on the way home, after I'm of course awake and on my drive home, then I listen to that, and that's more of my spiritual cup that's getting filled. And I come in and make a cup of coffee, and then sit down, and I do a little bit more reading before I then get into the shower and keep myself replenished. And the other thing that I do, I love working on myself personally, and just constantly looking at how to improve myself. And so I love books and anything that will feed that for me. That's very much a part of who I am. And so I'm constantly looking and listening for podcasts or different books to listen, how to improve myself or what I can work on and just be a better person. And spending time with my children. I really try to make it a point to spend time. So this is from a weekend that I just spent with my son. We were in Madison over the weekend and spent a few days. Yeah, he just had a birthday recently, and so we went there for that, and spent some time outdoors. I love to be outdoors. I think that helps kind of keep me. What do they say? Put your feet in the grass, or what is it? Or put your something like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's so true. And those are the types of things I love to. I've got some flowers that I spend time doing and working on that. And so I don't know, I guess, I don't know. When I think about it, I'm kind of I don't know.
Well, routine is important. No. I mean, there is a such thing as being too regimented. Correct. But I don't think you can be too routine. I think being in routine is discipline, and that keeps, it keeps us focused, and it helps us keep our pots full. Yeah. So that's totally cool. It sounds very, very familiar. Yeah. We have a very similar routine, but I think, that's the key. It's like we work hard. Yeah, we empty our cup. Yeah, we get tired, but we know how to refuel, and we know when it's time to put the gas in the tank. Yes. And that's what it's all about. So if your tank's running low, you need some gas in the tank, we are here for you. That's what we do at I Decided. I Decided is a personal development company. It's all about helping you achieve your goals and dreams. And you need the pieces of the puzzle for success if you're going to accomplish those little nagging goals that you have in your life. You need all the pieces of the puzzle for success. And as a member of our community, that's what we provide to you. All those benefits include all the pieces that you need to help you achieve your goals and dreams. So check us out, ivedecided.org. We'd love to have you in our community. Noelle, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
me today. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank Unland Insurance for being a part of I Decided. We're grateful for you guys to be a resource and to share information and knowledge with our community. And you guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kim, it is